know. So with a lot of huffing and puffing, that's all in place now, and I've pegged it all together. It's all upright and level and runs through really nicely, cuts through really nicely with the featherboarding. So now it's time to put the rafters on. Just setting up the rafter on this cat slide roof, and basically the way I'm doing it, because I don't know what the pitch is, I'm basically simulating the top line of the rafter. So the underside of this rafter here, this piece of timber, simulates the top of what's going to be my rafter. So what I've basically done is I know roughly what 2/3 of this timber is on a vertical, so that's about 110 mil. So what I've done is I've made a plumb line up from the face of my outside plate, and I've measured 110 mil down, which is my upstand above the plate, and then I put a level line across there. So this simulates the bird's mouth that's to be cut out. I've done exactly the same at the top. I put a plumb line up from the face of my plate, and then I know that the distance from my plate to the top of my roof line is 90 mil. So I measure down 90 mil on the plumb line here, and then put a level line across, and then this gives me my bird's mouth here. So when I cut both of those out, this whole rafter just falls down and sits into place. So I'll get that cut now, and if that fits nicely, then that'll be my pattern to cut all the others. Right, that's the pattern all cut. That fits perfectly at the top there as well. So now I'll just mark them out and cut the rest. I've got a small tip here, and apologies if it's obvious, but when you're I'm cutting, I've got a long plumb cut to cut here and a small seat cut, so this is the exposed rafter end. A little tip is, if you cut the plumb cut first, you then have got a much smaller area left for your saw base to run on when you're cutting this bit, and it's more likely to tip. So my tip is if you cut this bit first, you then still have all this timber here that can support the saw. So I'll try and do it one-handed. So shut that in there. So my saw here now, I have all of this area here, the saw can still run on, and it helps hold it a bit steadier, rather than if that wasn't there, the saw's more likely to tip. That's all those rafters cut in now. Now, because I work with quite a good bunch of other tradesmen, I'm not going to be so mean as to fix these rafters and then expect the painter to paint all these in this ebony black colour. That'll be quite a job without potentially getting it on this oak. So I'm going to router these edges off with a chamfer on them to make them neat and tidy, and then I shall take these all off and leave them in a pile for the decorator to stain while they're on the ground, and then I shall fix them once he's done that, and then we'll get a nice clean line between the black rafter here and the oak here without the risk of getting black on this oak. So I'm quickly going to run my bearing guided chamfer cutter on these now, just to make those look pretty as well. Right, so I changed my mind on routering the ends. Actually what I've done is just done a few passes with my block plane, so I think that gives the desired effect. So I'm happy with that, it looks great. I'll move on to the next thing.